My father raised his champagne glass in front of 200 people and smiled. My son built our empire alongside me. My daughter? He paused. Well, she chose to disappoint us. The room laughed. I didn't. Because 20 minutes earlier, his business partner had pulled me into a hallway and handed me a thumb drive. Your brother's been cooking the books, he'd whispered. Your mother's shares were never redeemed. They belong to you. They're trying to erase you before the sale. I slipped the drive into my purse. I had every board resolution, every signature, every forged document. What my father didn't know? I'd spent the last 72 hours building a case that would blow apart a $50 million deal. And it started the moment I opened an envelope my mother gave me 5 years ago. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? Drop it below and hit that like button. You're going to want to see how this ends. Let me take you back. 10 years ago, I walked away from my family's manufacturing business. My father called it a betrayal. My brother Jason called it weakness. I called it survival. I'd started a youth education nonprofit. We served kids who couldn't afford tutoring or college prep. Dad stood in my tiny office the day I launched and said, "Charity work is for people who can't build anything real." My mother was the only one who understood. She pulled me aside a week before she passed and pressed a manila envelope into my hands. "Your birthright," she whispered. "Don't let them tell you I left you nothing." I didn't open it. I was grieving. I trusted the estate lawyer when he said Mom's shares had reverted to the company. 5 years went by. My nonprofit grew. We now serve 3,000 kids a year. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I drive a 10-year-old Honda. I rebuilt my entire life away from them. Jason runs day-to-day operations at the company. Dad's still CEO. I hadn't been to a family event in 5 years. Not a wedding, not a funeral, not a holiday. But this year, my father personally called and asked me to come to his 70th birthday. He said he wanted to make peace. I believed him. I went to that party to bury the past. I left ready for war. 2 weeks before the party, Jason called. "Hey, we need you to sign some estate paperwork." Just a formality. I asked what it was for. Cap table cleanup. "We've got an audit coming. Dad wants everything neat." He emailed me a DocuSign link an hour later. I opened it on my laptop. Legal jargon filled the screen. But one phrase jumped out. Relinquish all historical and derivative equity claims. I called my lawyer friend, Sarah. I read her the line. She went quiet. "Don't sign that. This isn't cleanup. This is a waiver. You'd be giving up any claim you ever had, or might have." I texted Jason. "Can I see the current shareholder registry?" He replied in 4 words. "You're not a shareholder." I wrote back. "Then why do I need to sign anything?" No response. I called him. He picked up on the 5th ring. "Jason, what's going on?" He laughed. "It was cold. You haven't been part of this company in a decade. Stop making this difficult." "Difficult?" "Yeah, ungrateful, actually. Dad carried you as dead weight on the books for years. Just sign the damn form." The deadline? The day after the birthday party. That night, I finally opened Mom's envelope. Inside the envelope, a single stock certificate. 18% of the company. Issued in my mother's name. On the back, a handwritten note in her script. Transfer to trust for my daughter, age 25, irrevocable. It wasn't notarized. I stared at it under my desk lamp. My hands shook. I took a photo and sent it to Sarah. She called me 10 minutes later. "This might not hold up. If the company never recorded the transfer and your mom's shares were redeemed, this is just paper." My stomach dropped. "What do I do?" "You'd need corporate records. Board minutes? A filed trust document. Without that, they'll say it's invalid." I felt the walls close in. Jason sent another email that night. "Dad's already telling people you're trying to extort the family. Sign the release or we'll make this public." I almost didn't go to the party. I put the certificate back in the envelope. I sat on my couch in the dark. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was clinging to a fantasy. But I got dressed anyway. Black dress. Minimal jewelry. I drove to the country club. I thought I'd lost before I even started. 20 minutes into the party, someone tapped my shoulder. Richard. My father's business partner and CFO for 30 years. Can I talk to you? Privately. We walked into a quiet hallway near the coat check. He looked older than I remembered, tired. Your brother's been lying, he said. For 3 years. Maybe longer. He pulled a USB drive from his jacket pocket. Board resolutions. Shareholder meeting minutes. Trust filings. Everything from 2005 to 2015. I took it. My heart pounded. Your mother's shares were never redeemed. They were transferred to an irrevocable trust in your name when you turned 25. It's all documented. Jason's been filing false cap tables with the auditors. I couldn't breathe. Why are you telling me this now? His voice cracked. I'm retiring next month. Your mom made me promise to protect you. I stayed silent too long. I pulled out my phone, plugged in an adapter, opened the drive. One PDF filled the screen. Board resolution, November 2014. Transfer of 18% equity to irrevocable trust. Beneficiary my name. Why now? I asked again. Richard looked me in the eye. Because they're selling the company for $50 million. And they're trying to erase you. I walked back into the ballroom with that thumb drive in my purse. My father was starting his toast. 70 years, he began. And I'm grateful to everyone who helped build our legacy. He turned to Jason. My son has worked beside me every day for 15 years. He's expanded our markets, tripled revenue. He is the future of this company. Applause, then he looked at me. My daughter chose a different path. She started a little nonprofit. Handed out free tutoring. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. I respect that. But let's be honest, she chose handouts over hard work. She is the family disappointment. People laughed. Jason smirked. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and left. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just walked out. The next morning, a legal letter arrived at my apartment. Cease and desist. From the company's law firm, accusing me of harassment and attempted fraud for falsely claiming ownership interest. An hour later, a business blog published a story. Estranged daughter threatens frivolous lawsuit against family manufacturing legacy. Jason had leaked it. My nonprofit's board chair called me that afternoon. Is this going to become a thing? She asked. We can't afford reputational risk. I exhaled slowly. It already is a thing. I had 72 hours before Jason's DocuSign deadline. I spent it building a case. I met Sarah and Richard in a conference room on Monday morning. We spread everything on the table. First document, the trust deed. Filed with the county recorder in 2014. My name is beneficiary, 18% equity. Second, shareholder meeting minutes. 2016 through 2023. Every single one listed only 2 shareholders. My father, 82%. Jason, 18%. My name, nowhere. Third document, a transfer form. Dated 2015. It claimed I had surrendered my trust shares back to the company. The signature? Supposedly mine. Sarah slid a magnifying glass over it. This isn't your signature. I looked closer. The loops were wrong. The slant was off. Then I remembered. I pulled up my phone. Found my photos from 2015. Passport stamps. I was in Kenya that entire month. Volunteer teaching program. Sarah tapped her pen on the forged signature. This is fraud. Felony level. Richard leaned forward. Jason filed these minutes with the state. If the buyer sees the real cap table now, the deal collapses. I looked at both of them. My voice was calm. Then let's make sure they see it. Richard filled in the final piece. The buyer was a private equity firm. $50 million all-cash deal. Closing in 30 days. My father's 82% would net him $41 million. Jason's supposed 18%? $9 million. But here's the problem. If my real 18% was recognized, Jason's share didn't exist. He'd walked around for 3 years claiming ownership of phantom equity. Worse? Richard showed me Jason's bank records. He'd taken out personal loans against his anticipated payout. $4 million in debt. Cars. A vacation house. Private school tuition for his kids. All borrowed against money that was never his. And my father knew. Sarah pulled up the purchase agreement. There was a clause. Standard in every deal. Seller represents and warrants clear title to all equity. No outstanding claims or encumbrances. If I came forward, the PE firm would walk. The deal would die. Jason would be buried in debt. My father's legacy exit would implode. So they tried to erase me. Sarah closed her laptop. So what do you want to do? I didn't hesitate. I want what's mine. And I want the truth on record. Now I knew exactly what to do. Monday afternoon, Sarah drafted an emergency motion. Temporary restraining order to block the sale until ownership was resolved. I read every line. It was clean, factual, no emotion. Just proof. I signed it. Then I did something else. I wrote a letter to the private equity firm's general counsel. I attached 3 documents. The trust deed, the board resolution, the forged transfer form with the signature analysis. I copied the state securities regulator. I didn't ask for revenge. I asked for recognition of my 18%, a fair payout, and an independent audit. Richard agreed to testify. He'd bring the original board minutes. Sarah filed the motion Monday at 4 p.m. By Tuesday morning, the PE firm's lawyers had frozen their diligence. They sent my father a letter. We are aware of a competing equity claim. Closing is suspended pending resolution. My father called me. I didn't answer. Jason left a voicemail. His voice shook. You're destroying this family. Over nothing. I deleted it. I wasn't their disappointment. I was their blind spot. And now they'd see me. The hearing was set for Friday. In a courtroom. With the PE firm's lawyers watching. Friday, 9 a.m. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. My father sat on the left with 2 attorneys in dark suits. Jason sat beside him. He wouldn't look at me. A lawyer from the PE firm sat in the back row, observing. The judge entered. We stood. Sarah presented our case first. She placed the trust deed on the overhead projector. Your Honor, this document was filed with the county recorder in November 2014. It transferred 18% equity in the family company to an irrevocable trust with my client as sole beneficiary. She clicked to the next slide. Board resolution. Signed by 3 directors, including Richard. This resolution authorized that transfer. It was unanimous. Then she showed the falsified shareholder reports. From 2016 forward, the company filed annual reports listing only 2 shareholders. My client's trust was omitted entirely. She paused. And here is why. The forged transfer document appeared on screen. 2 signatures side by side. One real, one fake. This purported waiver claims my client surrendered her interest in 2015. But forensic analysis confirms the signature is forged. She pulled up my passport. And my client was out of the country the entire month this document is dated. The judge leaned forward. He looked at Jason. Mr. Hayes, did you file shareholder reports with the state that you knew to be false? Jason's attorney stood. Your Honor, we'd like to consult with our client before... The judge cut him off. I didn't ask you. I asked him. Jason stammered. I believe the reports were accurate. Sarah stood again. Your Honor, the defendant was the corporate secretary. He signed every one of those reports. Here's his signature. She projected them, one after another. Richard was called to testify. He was calm, factual. I witnessed the board vote in 2014. The plaintiff has always been the rightful owner of 18%. The judge reviewed the forensic signature report. Then he spoke. I'm granting the temporary restraining order. The sale is halted pending a full forensic audit of share ownership. I'm also referring the forged document to the district attorney for possible securities fraud and forgery charges. He banged the gavel. My father's face went pale. Jason stared at the table. The PE firm's lawyer stood and walked out. I exhaled. For the first time in 10 years, I felt seen. 3 months later, the independent audit came back. My 18% was confirmed. Irrevocable. Legal. Mine. The company couldn't be sold with a clean title. The PE firm walked. My father's attorney called Sarah. They wanted to settle. We met in a conference room. No pleasantries. My father's lawyer slid a buyout agreement across the table. $9 million, cash, for my shares, plus a public acknowledgement letter signed by my father admitting the trust had been valid all along. I read it twice. Then I signed. My father sat across from me. He didn't say a word. He wouldn't make eye contact. I stood up. I don't forgive you, I said. But I'm free of you. I walked out. Jason was removed as an officer of the company. The DA declined to prosecute in exchange for full restitution to me in his resignation. My father kept control of the business, but his reputation in industry circles was shattered. 3 board members resigned. 2 vendors pulled contracts. He's still running the company, but it's smaller now, quieter. I used $2 million to endow my nonprofit. We're building a second location. $1 million went to create a scholarship fund in my mother's name for daughters who build their own legacies. The rest, I invested it. I bought a small house. I'm in therapy. I went no contact with my father. Low contact with Jason. Richard sent me a card when he retired. Your mom would be proud. I keep it on my desk. I spent 10 years thinking I was the disappointment. Turns out I was just the one who got away. Here's what I learned. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth, even if that someone is family. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. And documentation? It saves lives. I never went to another family party, and I never looked back. So let me ask you, have you ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to believe in you? How did you prove them wrong? Or did you stop trying to? Let me know in the comments. I read everyone, and if this story hit home, hit that subscribe button. You're not alone. This has been a fictionalized dramatization and is not legal or financial advice. Always consult a qualified professional for your specific situation. Thank you for listening.